All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 606th board meeting of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, Central Valley Region. This meeting of the Regional Water Quality Control Board is called to order at 9:06 a.m. on Thursday, August 27th, 2026, and a quorum of the board is present. Board member Denise Kadara is participating remotely in this meeting in accordance with the provisions of the Bagley-Keene Open Meetings Act, specifically Government Code Section 11123 sub B. The location she is participating from is on the agenda and is open to the public. The meeting agenda has been posted on the door of this location consistent with the applicable law. This meeting is being live streamed and the full video will be available on YouTube following the meeting. I am Nick Abdus, the chair of the Central Valley Water Board. I will introduce the other board members in just 1 minute. Mindy, can you please begin by providing instructions for the members of the public that may plan to participate in today's meeting?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mindy Bunn, and I am the clerk to the board. I'll begin by sharing some information about how public participation will be organized for today's meeting. If you wish to make a verbal comment on one of the board items or during the public forum, you must be attending either in person, through the Zoom platform, or calling in via phone. If you're currently watching the webcast on YouTube but would like to make a comment, please email me now at agenda5@waterboards.ca.gov to request the Zoom link. If you're already on the Zoom webinar and wish to speak but have not pre-registered, please raise your hand and you'll be called on. If you're using a computer or tablet, click the raise hand button. If you're calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Generally, in-person commenters will be called on first, followed by Zoom and phone participants. If you're here in person and wish to speak but haven't completed a blue comment card and given it to the staff member, or if you are on Zoom and haven't raised your hand, you may miss your opportunity to speak. Staff will call each commenter by name and your microphone will be unmuted. If you're calling in by phone, staff will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. For the record, please state your name and who you are representing before speaking. This is especially important for those testifying on an item. Unless you've been granted additional time, each speaker will have 3 minutes. A bell will sound when your time is up. Please speak from a quiet location to minimize background noise. And finally, a friendly reminder to our board members, presenters, and staff. Please mute yourself when not speaking to reduce background noise. And if possible, keep your camera on when speaking. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Mindy. I will now introduce the other board members. To my left is Elena Lee Reeder of Sacramento, and just to her left is Sean Yang of Sacramento. And as I mentioned earlier, Denise Kadara of Allensworth is attending remotely. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
And I am Nick Abdus again here in Sacramento. Nicole Morgan, who I saw earlier. Good morning, Nicole. State board member is participating in this meeting and will provide an update a little bit later. I will now introduce Executive Officer Patrick Kalupa, who will in turn introduce his staff.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Directly across from me, we have Kennedy Knight with the Office of Chief Counsel. To my immediate right is Jessica Yar with the Office of Chief Counsel. In front of you, you have Christina Shoup, Assistant Executive Officer of the Fresno office. To her left is JJ Baum, Assistant Executive Officer in the Rancho Cordova office. To my far left is former Assistant Executive Officer Adam Lapitz, who is visiting us as a celebrity today. And to my immediate left is Mindy Bunn, clerk to the board. We also have Clint Snyder, Assistant Executive Officer who leads the Reading office in the crowd, as well as a number of staff and board management as well.
Thank you for that, Patrick. And Adam, welcome back. You're certainly dressed for the occasion. Thank you. Before we begin today, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand if you are able. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this point, I'd like to ask my fellow board members if they have any communications they'd like to disclose since our last board meeting. Yeah, go ahead. Denise, do you have anything? That's okay. We'll move on. Sean, Elliot?
I attended the chairs meeting on August 3rd. Received an update on tribal beneficial uses and a legislative update.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. Go ahead, Denise.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. On this would be the 15th of July. I participated in the state participated in a Firewise workshop in Allensworth. It included participation from the State Water Board staff, CAL FIRE, and Tulare County Office of Emergency Services. We've had a number of fires here in the Allensworth community in the past couple of months this summer, and this past one we had last week was in Alpaw. And it took a while to get it contained, over a couple of days. So that Firewise session was definitely helpful for the community. On the 7th of August, I attended the third Integrated Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Program Technical Advisory Council meeting, of which I serve as a member. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. All right, moving on. State Water Board Liaison update. Cole, welcome. Nope, is that mic not turning on over there? Nope. Can we get some technical help with that microphone?
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I am live now. Good morning, Travis and members of the board. It's an honor to be able to join you this morning to provide you with an update from the State Water Board. So let's see here, a few things going on. The Delta Conveyance Project on July 1st, 2026, State Board staff released the 12th amended hearing notice and procedural ruling. The server rebuttal portion of the public hearing was held on August 20th, 21st, 24th, and will continue on August 31st and September 3rd. All hearing days start at 9 a.m. They can be viewed through YouTube, the AHO's channel, and more information can be found on the Administrative Hearings Office, AHO, webpage. Just to remind everyone, I am on ex parte for this item and will not be able to answer questions. Tribal beneficial uses. On June 17th, the State Board released draft guidance on designating tribal beneficial uses, explaining the history of tribal beneficial uses, also known as TBUs, what they are, how they're designated into water quality control plans, and how to engage in the process. This draft guidance does not create any legal requirements or make them more specific, rather is intended only to describe existing requirements and practices. On July 22nd, the State Board held a workshop to review the draft guidance and gather feedback from tribes and other partners. The tribal consultation period and public comment period began on June 10th and concludes on August 31st. So the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, NPS general permit for stormwater discharges from small municipal separate sewer systems. There is a draft statewide guide permit that's available for review and comment. State Board hosted a workshop on July 29th and July 30th. On August 19th, we held the public hearing to present the draft permit and hear public comments. To ensure consideration by the State Board staff, comments must be received no later than noon on September 2nd. The stormwater quality control plans and state policies for water quality control. So there are quite a few of those, more than many of us, including me, realize. And so staff have compiled the complete list of all of the policies and plans. There's a draft staff report and work plan for review. And so their review and for public comment. The purpose is to assist with accuracy of state plans and policies, as well as applicable water quality standards to help guide the state board's priorities for future projects to establish or amend state plans and policies. Public comments are due at noon on September 1st. So water conservation. Staff held a public webinar on July 1st about alternative compliance pathways for the urban water use objective. The recording is available for any of you who missed it and would like to receive that update. It's on the state board's website, the Making Conservation in California a Way of Life. The slides are also available. Supply and demand assessment. The Division of Water Rights, it has been developing water supply models, water demand data sets, and water allocation tools for select watersheds across California. These tools, once completed, will provide predictions for surface water supplies and demands to aid state and local water management decisions, especially during water shortages. So last item, let's see. So the State Board Safe and Affordable Funding for Equity and Resilience Advisory Group. So the SAFER Advisory Group is applications are now open for the 27-28 term. The deadline to apply is August 31st. There are 12 seats that are open, and selected applicants will be notified this winter. And so the applications are available and can be accepted in English or Spanish. You can apply online via email or regular mail. So please visit the program's webpage for additional information on that. And that concludes my report.
Well, thank you very much, Nicole. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Nicole? Okay, thank you very much. A lot of good
All right, thank
information
you.
in there. Okay, moving on to public forum. If you are a person in the meeting and wish to speak, but have not submitted a speaker card, please fill out a blue card at the reception table and give it to a staff member. If you're on the Zoom platform and wish to speak, but have not yet registered, please raise your hand now. Mindy, do we have any member of the public who wishes to speak on a topic not on the agenda today?
No commenters, and I don't see anybody's hand raised on Zoom.
Okay. All right, anyone? Nope. So moving on, approval of the minutes. Do we have any late edits or corrections to the June 3rd or June 4th minutes? I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Mindy, please call the roll.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
and Chair Aptis.
Yes. All right, I think we're taking some items out of order, correct? Today, the executive officer's report includes a discussion with the EJ team on the past year's EJ goals. We'll take care of the matters on the uncontested items first, correct? That we're doing? Okay. So consideration of the uncontested items 9 and 11 through 14. We are now proceeding to consider items before the board that are not being contested. Before we conduct this vote, I understand that staff's discussions with stakeholders regarding IM 10, the region-wide MS4 permit, may have resulted in an uncontested item. We may consider the permit along with the other uncontested items on that calendar. So Mindy, can you verify whether anyone is contesting item 10?
I don't believe anyone's contesting, although I do have 2 in-person commenters for 10.
Okay,
And they both commented that they can speak as necessary,
Oh,
but not contesting the item.
okay. I'd like to thank everyone relative to item 10, including our stakeholder partners. I know there's been a lot of last minute discussions and do appreciate the work, the collaborative effort there. So with that, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider items 9 through 14. If you're a person at the meeting and wish to speak, but not submitted a speaker card, please fill out a blue card at the reception table, give it to a staff member. Again, on the Zoom platform, wish to speak, raise your hand. Mindy, do we have anyone on any of the uncontested items?
No commenters, and I don't see any hands raised to speak.
Okay. And again, are there any late revisions? There are some late revisions. All right, Clint.
Good morning, board members. This is specific to the phase 1 MS4 permit before you. Two primary revisions. The first is to extend the effective date to March 1st, 2027. And then the second is pulled it up on the screen for you to read. I won't read it all verbatim, but I'll give you the gist of it. The proposed permit included some alternative, the ability to use alternative flow calculations. We removed the ability to use those alternative flow calculations and reverted back to the flow calculation that's included in the State Water Board's trash policy for consistency. The last piece in that revision just provides, although it wasn't strike underline in the stack out in the front lobby, that should the State Water Board allow those alternative calculation methods in the future, that this permit also would provide that ability as well. That's all.
Thank you for that, Clint. Does council have any legal issues to discuss? Sorry,
No legal issues.
you're hiding your camouflage mask.
No legal issues.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. Before I entertain a motion, I do again want to highlight all the work and effort that went into the MS4 permit. I particularly want to commend staff and our stakeholders relative to some of the trash capture rules. We obviously here in the Sacramento region and beyond understand the issues with illegal trash in our waterways. And while this doesn't fix that problem, it does provide another tool in the toolkit, and that is to be recognized and appreciated. And hopefully we can make more progress on that. So with that, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the uncontested items.
I'll go ahead and move the the consent calendar items 9 through 14 with the amendments.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. The hearing is now closed. Please, Mindy, take the roll.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
and Chair Aptis.
Yes. All right, moving on to the executive officer's report. Prior to each meeting, the executive officer works with the board clerk and the board's program managers. Oh, not right now, Siri. To compile a report on the status of the board's programs, its staffing, and many different initiatives that the board's working on. Again, if you're a speaker card, you know the routine. If you have something to say, please give a card. If you're on the Zoom, please raise your hand. Currently, Patrick Palupa is available to respond to questions. If we have any, Patrick?
So we have a few things going on with the executive officer's report this morning. First, we have some staff awards that I'd like to present. And then we have a resolution in appreciation for Adam Lapitz for his service here at the regional board. And then we will proceed to a discussion of this past year's environmental justice goals. I will be joined by some members of the environmental justice team. But I think first and foremost, I'd like to present some of the commendations for the current staff and then do Adam Lapitz's resolution. But first up, I think this is you, Jeff. Oh, Michael Fisher. Michael Fisher is a water resource control engineer in the compliance enforcement section. Since joining the Central Valley Water Board in 2010, Mike has worked in both the NPDES and Stormwater Compliance and Enforcement units, where he has consistently demonstrated exceptional dedication, technical expertise, and leadership in support of the board's mission. During the past year, staffing turnover within the section created significant operational challenges and opportunities for leadership. Mike stepped up to assist the NPDES senior in overseeing the unit. In this role, Mike provided critical support in reviewing NPDES compliance deliverables, including monitoring report review letters, notices of violation, compliance inspection reports, and settlement offers related to mandatory minimum penalty enforcement actions for more than 25 facilities. Mike has extensive experience providing substantial support on numerous administrative civil liability matters in the NPDES and stormwater programs. This year, he helped prepare and negotiate a settlement with the Sacramento Area Sewer District involving sanitary sewer spills that occurred over 3 years. Mike also provided technical expertise in applying enforcement policy to support penalty calculations and the preparation of a settlement order for a recalcitrant industrial stormwater discharger. Mike also played an important role in training a newly hired senior specialist following the retirement of a long-serving stormwater expert, helping maintain program continuity during a challenging transition period. He further demonstrated leadership during implementation of the new State Board Construction General Stormwater Permit by developing and presenting training materials to educate home builders on permit requirements and rainy season compliance expectations, improving understanding and compliance within the regulated community. Mike consistently maintains a positive attitude, adapts to changing priorities, and willingly takes on challenging assignments. His professionalism, technical competence, mentorship, and dedication to the board's mission make him highly deserving of a Superior Accomplishment Award. Congratulations, Mike. Don't go too far. We'll have some pictures in just a minute. All right, next up is Jeff. Jeff Tierney, there we go, is a water resource control engineer in the federal and private sites cleanup unit. Over the past several years, Jeff has consistently taken the initiative to improve work processes, expand knowledge, and then share that information within and beyond the site cleanup program. For example, in 2022, Jeff worked with the Office of Public Participation, now OPITA, to develop Spanish language fact sheets for requesting access to test private domestic wells for 1,2,3-triochloropropane near fumigant supply businesses. Jeff used the experience with the fact sheet translation to prepare and present a best practices for engaging the Office of Public Participation guide for site cleanup staff. In 2023, Jeff reached out to and engaged with staff working on GeoTracker, Gamma, and in the Office of Information Management and Analysis to improve cross-platform data sharing, data visualization, and data analysis. Jeff shared the results of his work with discovery and visualizing waterboard data in Tableau in a poster presentation at the August 2023 Waterboard Cleanup Summit that included staff from across all the regional boards and the state board. In 2024, Jeff set out to build a comprehensive collection of historical industry and academic documents for 1,2,3-triochloropropane. His search took him on several excursions deep into archival collections at the university libraries in Davis, Berkeley, and San Francisco. In the process, Jeff has become an expert on 123-TCP, supporting both his and other staff's cases and potential future initiatives. In 2025, Jeff digitized the Rancho Cordova office's microfilm archive of approximately 2 million pages into searchable PDF files. By identifying and upgrading available scanning equipment, coordinating with staff, and dedicating significant personal effort, Jeff transformed a cumbersome manual document retrieval process into an effective digital system. His work streamlined access to historical records, improved response times to public record requests, enhanced site analyses, and uncovered previously overlooked sites, providing lasting benefits to the organization. More recently, Jeff has been working as a subject matter expert on using Copilot artificial intelligence to support our work at the water boards. His findings using Copilot to gather information and develop contaminant fate and transport models that run using Python scripts within Excel have attracted attention throughout our organization. While using the models to inform decisions on program project work, he also presented his findings and processes at multiple statewide meetings and roundtables, spurring important discussions about the future potential for AI tools at the water boards. Jeff's track record of initiative, leadership, and dedication in going above and beyond his day-to-day job duties make him well deserving of this Superior Accomplishment Award. Congratulations, Jeff. Really, really appreciate everything that you're doing for the organization. Thanks, Jeff. Coming up, we'll do Jeff's picture, and then we can do Mike's. The next question is, can we use AI to put Denise? Yes. Congratulations.
All right, well, next up, we want to give a resolution of appreciation to our dedicated public servant, Adam Lapitz. It is a really long resolution. I think I'll spare most of you from it. I think Adam can read this. If he's having a hard time sleeping at night, this certainly could help with that. Because really, it really underscores the accomplishments and all the things you were able to achieve here. But I think that at least from my perspective as a board member, Adam, I think it's the way you managed and handled and interacted with people. It's really goes to show you. I mean, you have a special gift that way, and the water board certainly was a better place having you in it. And certainly, it's sort of bittersweet. Certainly we want to see you leave the nest, so to speak, I guess. So we want to congratulate you, obviously, on your new endeavors, but do want to acknowledge and appreciate all the work and hard dedication you devoted to Region 5. I know you touch a lot of people. I know there's a lot of folks in the organization that really admire you as a person, and that says a lot. So I just want to say thank you. There is this resolution. It's just a small token of our appreciation for what you've done to the district and how you serve the citizens of California. And I know you will continue to do that, obviously, in your new position. I asked my other board members if they have any other comments they'd like to share.
Yeah, good morning. I would like to say a couple of things about Adam. I've been on the board for 5-6 years, and I encountered Adam multiple times, and every time I encounter one, it's nothing but great things, and his sense of humor is really makes things easier to work with him over the years, and I hear nothing but good things from other people about you as well. So I wish you nothing but the best on your new journey. Thank you for your service.
Hi, Adam. You sure you don't miss that spot? I really enjoyed working with you on the board's first video. You took a new idea and you ran with it. And the social media outreach and the push over the American River E. coli study. I think that your true superpower was collaboration. And you sat at the table with agricultural coalitions, environmental justice groups, municipal leaders and sister agencies. And you prove that water quality is a shared human responsibility. And in my book, you're always an influencer.
And I will note that while the resolution contains findings as to your prowess on the basketball court, love of Costco, Taco Bell, and others, and notes one last time for the record that Adam Lapitz is not a French last name. I want to articulate just a couple things that your team put together for you. And two of the whereases that stood out to me is whereas Adam is recognized for his mentorship, thoughtful guidance, humility, and commitment to producing technically sound, legally defensible, and practically implementable solutions that strengthened water quality protection across the Central Valley. And whereas Adam is known for downing a steak bigger than his dinner plate, as well as for his kindness, wisdom, humor, and ability to bring out the best in those around him. His insight and counsel will be truly missed by all who have had the privilege to work with him, except for the Christmas tree farmers who once accused him of sabotage. The members of the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board and its staff respectfully extend to Adam Lapitz on the occasion of his promotion from the Central Valley Water Board our sincere gratitude and appreciation for a job well done. And the Central Valley Water Board wishes Adam and his family clear skies and happy trails in all of his future endeavors.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't forget about me. I mean, when I heard that Adam was gone, I was so sad because we rode in the car with him on our last event, and he didn't even mention to us the last tour we had that he was leaving. And once I got the word, it was just sad. But you know, one word I would use for Adam to describe the relationship and how he's interacted with the public. He's a humble man, and I admired that about him. He dealt with a lot of issues over the years that I worked with him as a board member, and he dealt with everything in good fashion, with a light spirit, and just really being very committed to the work that he did and how he served the public to make sure that everyone was represented, the stakeholders, the communities, and a collaborator, and really a outstanding person to serve as an assistant executive director to the Region 5. And I'm very much appreciative of his work and the opportunity to have been able to work with him. And definitely going to miss him. I appreciate what Patrick said about Costco and all the favorite things. I mean, he loves to eat, and you know, just to be able to have that fun time with him. He lightened the load for the work that everyone was doing, and we just appreciate your service to our Central Valley Water Board and wish you all the best in your service, in your continuous service to the public at CAL FIRE. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Yes, go ahead. I think we have some members of the public that would wish to speak. Yeah, good a time as any.
Okay. All right. Chair, members of the board, David Corey, I just couldn't couldn't leave this alone. I needed to give my, basically the same sentiments that you all, the board members all had about Adam, his ability to sort of engage people in the conversation and dealing directly with the issues at hand. He was really good at that. I mean, exceptionally good at being open in his discussion with the stakeholders, and that elicited openness back. And so, you know, I just valued our working together over the years. I think the first time we met was in this room in a stakeholder process. How many years ago was that, Adam? You don't want to count? But through those years, we worked together closely on a lot of contentious issues, and he always brought together sort of a direct approach, practical approach, and a really effective approach to solving very complex problems with very diverse stakeholders. And I just appreciate everything he's brought to the board, what he brought to me personally, and I'm sure he's going to do that moving forward at CAL FIRE. I'll miss him when he's gone, but I'll still harass him from time to time on his cell. So thank you all. Thank you, Adam, for your willingness to engage in this sort of sometime frustrating and trying arena that we're in. So good luck moving forward and solve the fire problems as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Are there any other, yes, any other members of the POD, please?
Good morning. I'm Debbie Mackey. I'm with the Central Valley Clean Water Association, and I'm in my 20th year with Civiqua, and I have worked with Adam for those 20 years minus the last few months. And he's smiling because it's like we have been through ups and downs and rounds and whatever. We both have, Civiqua and the board both have very similar goals, and that's to protect public health and the environment and to do our jobs well in doing that. And I have just appreciated so much. I don't know if you've seen the resolution, but I know that with Civiqua, Adam's been instrumental in starting some of your biggest stakeholder efforts, like the Delta RMP. He was there for CV salts. With the POTWs themselves, in order to try to find resolution on stuff, we were able to work out a really groundbreaking scientific way to look for specific freshwater mussels to come up with appropriate ammonia limits that use environmental DNA. And so all these different things, these creative ways to get there, as everybody said, that ability to deal with issues and still, be friends at the end of the mess, even though sometimes we've frustrated the heck out of each other. But I think that I just really, really appreciate him. I have missed him every week since he's been left. He's got great history. He's done a great job. And I just continue to wish the best for you.
Yes, Nicole. Yeah.
Well, good morning. So we want to thank Adam for taking a chance on me a couple years ago. So, so Adam promoted me here while I was at the Central Valley Water Board, and took a chance of me leading the non-point source program. It was during the time where you can say that my filter didn't work all that great due to some personal reasons. But Adam, he was a champ. He had myself and two others who had newly been promoted by Adam, and we could be a challenge at times. And so we definitely gave Adam a run. We pushed back, and Adam, he was always just gracious. He didn't he didn't crack. He didn't. At the end, when I asked Adam, about it, he says, I learned a lot. I learned how to say no. You guys really pushed me to say no because, and looking back at that time, truly, Adam, it just showed how much trust and faith he had in us, that he would take on additional projects, even though we would say, we're doing what now? How, what? But it showed that he had a lot of trust. He had a lot of faith in us to lead our programs, to take on additional special projects, to take on additional work, to work with our stakeholders, and to really produce for the region. Even when Adam had just ideas he would throw out, and we would just go ahead and run with them, such as the first general permit for MPDS facilities. For, that was the first that had been done in the nation. And Adam allowed me to run with that, work with staff. They, took on that challenge, looked at me and said, I'm not sure what you're doing here. Our stakeholders also said that too. But, Adam never did question it. He allowed us to continue to collaborate, to work together, to see if we could find this solution. And at the end of the day, we did. And, even US EPA, who also said, you can't do this, actually stood here on that day that we adopted it and said, really congratulated us and thanked us. And that truly is because of Adam's support and his leadership of his staff. He stood behind us. He had our backs. He pushed us to achieve more. He pushed us to be better managers and to, for our success. So I thank you. Thank you for taking a chance on me, guiding me, helping me to be better. And, you truly are missed here at the region. While I'm no longer here and I don't get to see you daily, it was always a pleasure to join the region and to say hi and just remember all of the great times that we had. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Nicole. Any other members of the public here wish to speak on, frankly, any item on the executive director's report? All right, seeing none, maybe we could take a opportunity for a little photograph with Adam. After hearing all those nice things about you, Adam.
Change your mind? Great.
All right, on that cheerful note, we will now adjourn into, wait.
One more thing for the environmental justice report.
Yes.
Right. And I think we have everybody elevated on the Zoom platform. Is that correct? We need for this one. Members of the team here. Yeah, no, come on. I think the folks who are here in person. Yeah. Helps the, there we go. Can we have the presentation up? All right. Do I have control over this slide? All right. In August of every year, we discuss the past program years assessment. Essentially, how did we do in years past? Starting in 2022, we adopted a racial equity resolution at the regional board, and we began to incorporate the past year's racial equity goals within the August report. And so I'm just going to give a quick primer on the portfolio management timeline. In January and March, the program managers developed the annual work plans. The executive management group, so myself and the AEOs, we approved those work plans March, April, May, June. And then in July and this time in August, we have kickoff meetings, essentially bringing all the folks into this office, program by program, have a discussion about what we're going to accomplish in the year to come. And then in August, we report back to the board on the past year's performance as well. We then develop special projects or other initiatives in October and December, and then start the process all over again. So we're going to start with the permitting programs, beginning with the NPDES program, and I will turn it over first to Marisol Gonzalez.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Marisol Gonzalez, and I am an engineering geologist with the NPDES program for permitting and compliance and enforcement in the Reading office. The Clean Water Act National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System program is a federal water quality permitting program that regulates point source discharges to surface waters. Facilities regulated by this program include wastewater treatment plants, fish hatcheries, and industrial facilities. NPDES permits are large, complex permits that must be updated every 5 years under federal law. This past year saw several legal disruptions to the program. In March of 2025, just before the 25-26 fiscal year began, the U.S. Supreme Court issued City and County of San Francisco versus EPA, which reshaped how NPDES permits may regulate water quality. This decision struck down permit requirements known as receiving water limitations, permit requirements that the board has traditionally used for addressing complex water quality issues. Then just a few months later, in August of 2025, an appellate court struck down toxicity provisions that are in many of our permits. We quickly adapted to this change by developing alternative permit language that allowed us to continue to adopt protective permits. Several months after that opinion, the state Supreme Court took the appellate decision under review, adding further uncertainty. Next slide, please. The past year, the program's EJ goal focused on continuing to improve outreach to tribal governments, disadvantaged communities, and environmental justice groups. We strengthened communication, increased engagement across the region, and provided more opportunities for these communities to participate in the permitting process. Based on that progress, we consider our goal met. Looking ahead, we have 3 major objectives for the NPDES program. First, we're working to stay on schedule with the 5-year permit renewals. Second, we plan to streamline permitting by enrolling eligible facilities under the general orders, which help reduce processing time and improve consistency. And finally, we're exploring permitting strategies that reduce financial burdens without compromising water quality protections. This includes evaluating fee structures, monitoring requirements, and pathways for small rural communities with limited resources. Next slide, please. Next, I will talk about the Groundwater Protection Program. The Groundwater Quality Protection Program is the oldest state water quality program in the state of California, but it's the program with the newest name. Facilities regulated under this program include sewage treatment plants, food processing facilities, and other industries that discourage non-hazardous waste. The past year's biggest achievement was the issuance of the domestic general order that will streamline regulatory requirements for nearly 200 wastewater facilities. This program also heavily participated in the development of the Modesto Management Zone Order, kicking off the next phase of the CV Salts Nitrate Control Program, and they issued numerous individual orders. This program also rebranded this past year and now has a name that more accurately reflects the work that this program does. Instead of the non-15 program, we now refer to the program as the Groundwater Quality Protection Program. You'll hear staff refer to the program as the GQP2, and groundwater protection permits is the term that is replacing the non-15 permits when we discuss permits issued by this program. Next slide, please. The program made significant progress on its SMART goals in the fiscal year 25-26 by expanding outreach and improving engagement for permitting actions. Staff conducted multiple outreach efforts for the large domestic and fruit and vegetable packing general orders, including initial outreach letters, public release of preliminary and tentative drafts, and a webinar for potentially eligible communities for the large domestic order, general order. Staff also coordinated with other programs to issue a single region-wide letter summarizing anticipated permitting projects, providing EJ and tribal communities with clearer and more streamlined information. Additionally, Fresno staff conducted enhanced in-person outreach in the disadvantaged community of Terabella for a controversial project, hosting an evening informal meeting to explain the project and gather community input. These actions, broader outreach, clearer communication, and targeted engagement in the EJ communities demonstrated progress towards the program's SMART goal. In the upcoming year, we plan to work on enrolling facilities in the general order for domestic wastewater facilities and the fruit and vegetable packing general order. We hope to have a nut hauler general order in front of the board for consideration, and we will continue to help the program become more transparent and accountable to the public with revisions to our website and improved access for tribes and EJ communities to our water quality data through portals like GeoTracker. And now I will turn over the presentation to Katie Gilman. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Katie Gilman, and I am an engineering geologist with the Non-Point Source Unit in the Reading office. The Water Quality Certifications Program regulates the removal of placement of materials in wetlands and waters of the state. Projects include dredging, flood control, channel clearing, bridge construction, habitat restoration, and the fill of wetlands for development. These types of projects generally require a Clean Water Act Section 404 permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and a water quality certification issued by the state. Projects involving discharges to non-federal waters are regulated through the issuance of similar permits under state law. 25-26 continued to see dynamic changes in the Water Quality Certifications Program. Core regulatory work included the issuance of certifications for 261 projects. Multiple staff have been hired and are being trained to adjust new challenges under the Sackett decision while we adapt to changes at the state and federal level. This includes tracking the upcoming Utility Wildfire General Order adoption by the State Water Board, amendments to maintenance dredging operations regulations, development of stream delineation guidance post-Sackett, and anticipation of the U.S. EPA Waters of the U.S. supplemental rulemaking publication. Next slide, please. Unlike the NPDES permits and WDRs, the board's issuance of water quality certifications doesn't happen at public meetings. For this reason, providing the public with a good understanding of the process by which we issue certifications is even more important. In prior years, we developed a flow chart to help demystify the certification process. As part of our 25-26 SMART goal, the program refined this chart. We also refined a spreadsheet documenting CEQA compliance under the Statewide Restoration General Orders, or SERGO, Program Environmental Impact Report. For all 23 projects permitted under the SERGO during fiscal year 2025-26, program staff verified that a Sacred Lands File and Native American contacts list was obtained from the Native American Heritage Commission to determine if the project will impact Native American cultural resources. Staff ensured that all identified tribes received notification and an opportunity for consultation regarding the project. For projects permitted under the SERGO, where the Central Valley Water Board was the CEQA lead agency and utilized the program EIR, expanded notification and an opportunity for consultation was provided to all tribes identified within the project area, not just those affiliated with identified cultural resources. In the upcoming year, we will continue to review public engagement materials to make sure they inform all interested persons on how the program operates, continue to use tools like EnviroScreen to assess project risks, and advance important habitat restoration and enhancement projects. And I'll now hand it over to Chad for the stormwater program.
Good morning, Chair Abdus and members of the board. I'm Chad Neptune, a senior engineering geologist in the Water Quality Protection Program in this office. The stormwater program regulates stormwater runoff from thousands of construction sites and industrial facilities, as well as many municipal separate storm sewer systems, or MS4s. The stormwater program protects surface waters by preventing pollution from both stormwater and non-stormwater discharges. Pollutants regulated by this program include sediment, petroleum products, pesticides and herbicides, metals, bacteria, trash, and other debris. The permits require implementation of best management practices and other program elements and controls to minimize the discharge of pollutants. This was Stacy Gotham's first full year as a program manager for this program, and she continues to evaluate program metrics to make sure that our limited resources are used as efficiently as possible. Field presence remains a key component of this program, and the team conducted 362 construction inspections, 274 industrial inspections, and performed 6 MS4 inspections. Program staff continue efforts on the Phase 1 MS4 permit, which was considered at this meeting. For fiscal year 25-26, the stormwater program had a SMARTY goal. Next slide. To prioritize facilities located in EJ communities. To evaluate progress on this goal, the work plan states an end-of-year report will be developed to document the number and percentage of industrial stormwater inspections conducted in communities with Cal EnviroScreen scores greater than 90, the most heavily burdened. The Fresno office inspected 7 IGP sites with a Cal EnviroScreen 4.0 overall percentile score greater than 90 during the fiscal year 25-26, representing about 30%, or 7 of 23 inspections of the IGP sites inspected. However, the Reading office did not inspect any IGP facilities in communities with Cal EnviroScreen scores greater than 90 because there are none within the Reading office's jurisdiction. This difference highlights the difficulty in comparing potential impacts across our region, which encompasses 43% of the state's surface area. Although inspections are primarily prioritized by threat to water quality, the location of industrial facilities within urbanized areas is considered, and the program manager will continue to review metrics. Additionally, the program has a continuing goal to address language barriers when appropriate by assessing which outreach materials should be available in multiple languages, and when appropriate, developing and disseminating translated materials within affected communities. Although the stormwater program was able to develop a Spanish version of the IGP notice in fiscal year 24-25, the program did not make additional progress on translating additional materials this year. Language access assistance remains available for anyone seeking translation, but we want to be more proactive and will continue to assess the accessibility of our materials based off the linguistic needs in the communities we serve. Future objectives of the program are to renew the region-wide municipal general permit and to continue to evaluate the ways we may consider impacts to EJ communities, along with benchmark exceedances, repeated failures to submit reports, and failures to collect water quality samples in our prioritization framework. I'll now turn the presentation back to Patrick.
Thanks, Chad. Next up are the planning, monitoring, and assessment programs, and I'll turn it first over to Rebecca Asami.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Rebecca Asami, and I'm a senior engineering geologist in the Fresno office. I am going to discuss the planning program. Water quality control plans, or basin plans, provide the foundation for all Central Valley Water Board regulatory actions. They identify beneficial uses of surface and groundwaters, water quality objectives to protect those uses, implementation actions to achieve objectives, and monitoring and surveillance programs to assess implementation actions. The goals of the basin planning program are to establish regulatory policies, frameworks, and programs that will preserve and enhance water quality and protect beneficial uses of water. Some program projects amend the basin plans, directing board regulatory actions. Within the scope of this program's total maximum daily load, or TMDL work, staff continued to work on the Delta Mercury Control Program reconsideration. This includes conducting complex technical modifications and planning for a stakeholder workshop to thoroughly vet regulatory options for addressing one of the most pernicious water quality contaminants in our region. The TMDL staff also worked on the pyrethroid pesticide TMDL with the board's adoption of the pyrethroid research plan in February 2026. The team is also diligently working on the evaluation and eventual designation of tribal beneficial uses, or TBUs, with a CEQA scoping meeting held in May 2026 and a summary of water quality objectives and numeric thresholds developed internally. The planning program also advanced the Southern Lost Hills oil field and Valley Water, or McKittrick, Basin Plan amendments. Within the Delta program, our experts provide support for sites reservoir environmental evaluations in coordination with Water Rights and the Delta Webmaster. Next slide. Thanks. The program has made significant progress in achieving EJ-related goals. Evidence includes significant progress in developing cultural TBUs, developing a prioritization schema for TMDLs that included the development of a section-wide guidance document for identifying disadvantaged communities using available tools such as EnviroScreen and the census, and incorporating EJ considerations for the triennial review. For the 26-27 fiscal year, the program will finalize the prioritization framework with an emphasis on TMDLs and triennial reviews, get cultural TBUs closer to adoption, coordinate with CV salts and swamp programs, and maintain our partnership with Delta communities to evaluate and assess harmful algal blooms. Thank you. I will now pass it back to Patrick to talk about swamp.
The California Surface Water Ambient Monitoring Program was created to fulfill the legislative mandate for a unifying program to coordinate all surface water monitoring conducted by the state and regional water quality control boards. The SWAMP conducts water quality monitoring directly and through collaborative partnerships and provides numerous reports, fact sheets, and tools, all designed to support water resource management in California. This past year, SWAMP finalized a summary report on microbial source tracking conducted in partnership with the Nevada County for Wolf Creek. The team was also placed in the spotlight when it assisted Butte County in responding to an outbreak of dangerous E. coli O157, a toxic strain capable of causing kidney failure that sickened several children who swam in Big Chico Creek and Sycamore Pool at the 1 Mile recreation area. Epidemiological and genetic information indicated a likely animal origin, either ruminants or deer, not human fecal contamination. Follow-up sampling found no additional detections of O157. The program also conducts recreational beneficial use assessments, or RBUAs, which are annual summertime monitoring studies designed to assess recreational water quality at popular sites to identify potential public health risks for swimmers, boaters, and other recreational users. The SWAMP program's continuing EJ goals are to incorporate EJ metrics into the consideration of where we spend our limited resources in these areas. For example, we will maintain our commitment to working with Delta communities to support citizen science initiatives in the upcoming year. I'll now turn it over to Petra.
Hello, I'm Petra Lee. I'm a senior environmental scientist with the Irrigated Lands Regulatory Program here in Rancho. So the Central Valley Salinity Alternatives for Long-Term Salinity, CV salts, initiative is a stakeholder-driven effort that developed a regulatory framework to address legacy and ongoing salt and nitrate accumulation. In 2018, the board established the salt and nitrate control programs. In this past year, the nitrate control program notched what is its biggest achievement to date with the June 2026 adoption of the Modesto Management Zone Order. Staff also completed reviews of Priority 2 Final Management Zone proposals, FMZIPs, which were received on the 16th of February, 2026. We also continued tracking permitting pathway selection for Priority 1 and 2 permittees and coordination with management zones on membership data updates. There are 3,042 permittees participating in the CV Salts Control Program, along with over 20,000 enrollees in the Irrigated Lands Regulatory Program and hundreds in the Confined Animals Facilities Program. Staff reviewed a draft archetype report for the Prioritization and Optimization Study and submitted comments to the Central Valley Salinity Coalition, or CVSC, on April 30th of this year. Staff also completed review and approval of Path 1 permittees. We continued to meet with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation and CVSC to discuss the management agency agreement and 2027 annual work plan and potential for aligning future activities between the programs. CV Salt's EJ goals are shared between the salt and nitrate control programs. A huge component of the CV Salt program is the nitrate control program's replacement water program. The EJ goal for the program is to continue work on this project. In 2025-2026, this goal was met as the Priority 1 management zones continued outreach for interim and long-term drinking water programs, and the Priority 2 management zones began implementing free well testing and safe drinking water programs. As we look to the future, continued progress is again the goal. Under Bob Ditto's leadership and working with the team that got us to where we are now, you will see additional implementation orders being brought to the board to encode the management zone's implementation plan requirements into the enforceable permits. I'll now turn it to Katie.
Non-point source pollution is the leading cause of water quality impairments in California. The primary non-point sources in the Central Valley include runoff and percolation from land use activities related to agriculture, timber harvests, cannabis cultivation, abandoned mines, recreation, and urban and rural development. The goal of the Central Valley Non-Point Source Program, or the NPS program, is to restore waters impacted by NPS pollution and protect unimpaired water bodies by assessing problem sources and implementing management programs. NPS program activities are funded by federal 319H resources and implemented by 6 different units within the region. As with a couple other programs, the Non-Point Source Program works under a different timeline, with its work plan requiring approval by the US EPA. This year, the work plan had to incorporate a 10% reduction in staffing, but continued to meet all the tasks from the 25-26 work plan. A new 319H grant was approved and is in the process of being put into contract. The project is an implementation project out of Redding for post-Park Fire work in the Mill Creek watershed. Another milestone was the submittal of the final draft of the NPS 5-year implementation plan to US EPA for approval at the end of June. Unfortunately, due to significant policy changes at US EPA that disallowed state plans to contain any DEI initiatives and verbiage, we do not include a specific EJ goal in the work plan. However, we continue to work to ensure that all communities have equal access to grant applications and high priority water quality programs and problems receive the treatment they deserve. Now I will hand it over to Adriana for the administrative support program.
Good morning. Hey, everybody. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Adriana Ross, and I'm the Region 5 Community Engagement Coordinator and Tribal Coordinator in the Fresno office. The Regional Water Board employs a bit over 300 permanent and part-time employees. Of those staff, 16 serve as our administrative support team. The administrative support team program provides administrative and operational support for the management of technical and regulatory programs across all 3 offices. This was a huge year of adaptation for the administration program. An incredible amount of work was required to reorganize the office for a shift from a mandatory 2 in-office day requirements to a 4 in-office day requirement. and the administrative program rose to the challenge. On top of that, in addition to the multitude of fleet management, data processing, contracting, and clerical work that the admin team does, it managed a construction project gone haywire in Rancho, Cordova, and is continuing to facilitate the Fresno office move to a new location. Next slide, please. The State Water Board 2023-2025 Racial Equity Action Plan outlines a commitment to ensuring race does not predict professional outcome for employees. Talent acquisition is a key component of the strategy, with goals that include diversifying recruitment and expanding outreach to underrepresented communities. This past year, commitment was to continue to work with the State Water Board to achieve this commitment, including participating in proactive advertising and community-based outreach to colleges, universities, including HSIs, HBCUs, tribal serving institutions, professional associations, and local workforce programs to attract diverse talent. We also are looking at ways to expand internship, fellowship, apprenticeships, and student assistant positions to create entry pathways into technical and administrative roles at the water boards. In the future, we plan on continuing this work. Other objectives of the program are tied to the overreaching goal of the program, which is to advance the region's mission, delivering consistent, high-quality assistance to internal and external customers. A key focus in maintaining a safe, welcoming office environment that meets staff needs. We therefore will continue working on the strategy, planning for the future relocation of the Fresno office. And I'll turn it back to Chad. Thank you.
Hello again. The special permitting programs each address a specific set of water quality concerns in the state, from the groundwater issues related to oil field development to the pollutants that can be mobilized when cannabis is cultivated on hillsides in counties where it is legal to do so. The Irrigated Lands Regulatory Program, or ILRP, regulates approximately 21,000 irrigated agricultural operations on over 5 million acres of land. The ILRP maintains an expansive regulatory portfolio in coordination with the agricultural coalitions, constantly reviewing management plans, evaluating surface monitoring conducted on behalf of the coalitions, and addressing compliance issues. There were several special issues that the ILRP tracked this past year. These include the State Water Board's Irrigated Lands Expert Panel, which put our regulatory program under the microscope and delivered a positive verdict on the water quality protections that we have imposed through that program. Likewise, at the request of the State Water Board, we subjected our groundwater protection formula, values, and targets framework to scientific peer review. This process also delivered mostly positive feedback, and we are already working to address the additional questions that the peer reviewers raised during that process. 2 years ago, program staff worked to integrate ILRP and CV Salt's drinking water well data sets into Priority 1 management zones. This past year, the integration of the ILRP general order requirements and the Modesto management zone order requirements was a significant milestone. The program also revised several program documents so they could be posted to the website to improve transparency and accessibility. The program also developed new public comment process for surface water management plans, including improved website notice to drive better engagement with EJ communities. Future objectives will include working with the State Water Board Division of Water Quality, agricultural stakeholders, and environmental justice organizations to address the recommendations of the second Ag Expert Panel and clarifying and updating web pages to improve accessibility and continuing to find ways to better engage diverse growers and disadvantaged communities. And now I'll hand it over to Rebecca for the oil fields program.
Thank you, Chad. So now I'm going to talk about the oil fields program, which is the program that I work in. Most California oil production occurs in the Central Valley. The goal of the oil field program is to properly regulate oil field discharges and oversee monitoring activities to ensure the protection of surface water, groundwater, and human health. During the fiscal year 25-26, the oil field program achieved several notable successes. A total of 15 closure plans were approved and 8 facilities were successfully closed. The team conducted 13 spill inspections and completed 43 facility inspections, ensuring compliance with our permits and safety across operations. Additionally, 18 UIC no objection letters and 14 UIC review letters were issued, reflecting ongoing oversight and regulatory diligence. Lastly, oilfield program staff worked diligently to develop multiple basin plan amendments to facilitate the regulation of oilfield activities. Next slide. The program achieved goal number 1, prioritization schema with an EJ lens, by developing site maps and tables. However, we found that EnviroScreen does not neatly apply to oil program sites, and the program had to develop alternative prioritization schema, mostly based on proximity to sensitive receptors. Future objectives include improving outreach and public communication, enhancing the program's webpage, posting site maps and tables, and potentially hosting community meetings to publicize our work. Next slide. Thanks. Now I'm going to talk about the land disposal program. The land disposal program regulates landfills, liquid waste surface impoundments, composting facilities, and facilities that house other waste containment units. In the fiscal year 25-26, the program brought 8 permits before the board and conducted 26 site inspections. Subsurface elevated temperature events continue to be an emerging issue that is requiring reevaluation of waste management strategies throughout the state and is a focus of the program. Lastly, program staff lent their expertise to an evaluation of the pond requirements in the Dairy General Order Remand under consideration at the state board. Next slide. Thanks. During fiscal year 25-26, the land disposal program continued to integrate environmental justice considerations into permitting, outreach, and engagement activities. One significant accomplishment was supporting implementation of AB 2108 tribal consultation requirements by contributing information on existing and anticipated waste discharge requirements to the region's annual tribal consultation outreach letter. The program also incorporated CalEnviroScreen data into its program tracking tools to better identify and evaluate communities that may be disproportionately impacted by regulated facilities. In addition, staff supported outreach and public engagement efforts related to the Avenel landfill elevated temperature event in a public meeting to communicate project information and address community concern. The program also made progress toward improving public access to information. Staff transitioned the program work plan to a new format that can more readily support development of public-facing materials and notifications. The primary challenge encountered during the fiscal year was limited capacity to develop new public-facing outreach materials such as fact sheets and comprehensive program website presence, while continuing to meet permitting, compliance, and enforcement responsibilities. Additionally, staff planned website enhancements were delayed due to organizational informational technology priorities. As a result, the program focused available resources on direct public engagement, permitting activities, and regulatory actions, while continuing to identify opportunities to improve public access to information in the future. For fiscal year 26-27, the land disposal program intends to build upon progress made by continuing to strengthen public engagement. A major focus area will be public notification and engagement efforts associated with the proposed hazardous waste facility at Clean Harbors Buttonwillow, which is anticipated to generate substantial public interest and require extensive coordination. Thank you, board members and chair. I will now pass it to Heather.
Good morning. My name is Heather Staplin. I am an environmental scientist in the Mercury and Metals TMDL unit here in the Rancho Cordova office. The confined animal facilities, or CAFs, are ranches where livestock are kept and fed in enclosures rather than having them graze. CAFs include dairies, feedlots, and poultry farms. Over the previous fiscal year, staff conducted a total of 264 inspections of dairy, feedlots, and poultry facilities. The CAF program was also tasked with responding to a draft of a water quality order proposed by the State Water Board that would impose numerous new requirements on dairies throughout the valley. Staff reviewed these requirements with an eye towards the pragmatic implementation of the goals in the proposed order. Lastly, CAF program staff were instrumental in assisting in the development and adoption of the Modesto Management Zone General Order, since CAFs are a significant contributor towards groundwater nitrate contamination within the management zone. To engage more effectively with environmental justice and tribal partners, several programs now issue a beginning of year summary notice that describes planned actions over the course of the year, so that stakeholders are aware of our early work plan commitments. The CAF program began to participate in this program in 2025/2026. Outside of continuing to conduct inspections and address water quality compliance issues, the program's primary efforts over the past year were associated with the State Water Board's development of a remand order and the Regional Board's Modesto Management Zone Order. For the CAF program in fiscal year 2026-2027, the environmental justice SMARTY goal is to follow the direction provided by the State Water Board in beginning the process to revise the Dairy General Order. We are certain that the order will contain some type of enhanced engagement requirements. The board regulates 106 mine sites with known or potential water quality impacts. This is a subset of the 47,000 abandoned mine features with physical and/or environmental hazards identified throughout California by the Department of Conservation. Discharges of waste from these mine sites can have devastating effects on receiving waters and can significantly limit beneficial uses for miles downstream. When fully staffed, the team is composed of a little over 4 people. Staff completed 23 core inspections over the year and made significant progress on several key sites. Lack of dedicated resources made advancement of environmental justice goals in this program difficult. The Mines program has an individual action plan that was developed in fiscal year 2024-2025 that they use as reference when engaging with community involvement. The program was unable to complete any action plans for each of the projects identified for this year: Sulphur Bank, Afterthought, and Lava Cap. The program's SMARTY goals are a part of multi-year projects that rely on federal agencies to achieve. Due to project days and scheduling with the US EPA, community engagement has been delayed and the SMARTY goal implementation moved to fiscal year 26-27. However, the Mines program worked to provide a list of interested parties who should be included in the US EPA's community involvement in Iron Mountain Mine that included Native American and community contacts to add to their contact list for public notices. Next year, we plan on continuing work on this prioritization scheme and maintaining progress on priority sites. I'll now turn the presentation over to Eric.
Morning, Chair Abdus and members of the board. My name is Eric Warren. I am the Region's Program Manager for the Irrigated Lands Regulatory Program, and I'll be providing an update on the cannabis program. The board's cannabis program regulates waste discharges associated with cannabis cultivation and related ground disturbance activities. The program currently regulates 786 enrollees in the Cannabis General Order. Last year, program staff participated in 59 warrant inspections and conducted 12 follow-up inspections, issued 51 notices of violation, and issued 2 cleanup and abatement orders. The program continues to put an emphasis on outreach and is undergoing a statewide shift to a more enforcement-oriented posture. The cannabis team continues to work on increasing the accessibility of outreach materials for permittees. 2 years ago, we translated our education materials into Hmong and Spanish videos. This past year, we incorporated QR coding for language access modules to all of our outgoing materials. Major environmental justice focus will be on enforcement communication, which is consistent with the unit's current priorities and staff resource allocation. Communicating our efforts and the consequences of noncompliance must be received by anyone considering cannabis cultivation, regardless of their language proficiency. To accomplish this, we will continue to engage with OPITA language translation services. I'll now turn the presentation over to JJ.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Abdus and members of the board. My name is JJ Baum, one of the Assistant Executive Officers at the Rancho Cordova office. So there are approximately, and I'm here to talk about the Forest Activities Program. There are approximately 16 million acres of federal and non-federal forest lands within the 33 million acres of the Central Valley region. The Forest Activities Program works to protect rivers, lakes, and streams from pollution caused by forest management activities on these lands. High priority pollutants include sediment, oil, and fuel products, pesticides, herbicides, and other waste materials. Last year, the program conducted 114 forest practice inspections, 48 utility inspections, and 65 inspections of projects under the federal lands permit. The program also continues to get work done on special projects, including contract lab validation work for the new laboratory screening methodology, which is now available on the Office of Information Management and Assessment website, linked from the R5 Forestry Program webpage. Accreditation, slightly delayed by funding impacts to the SQUIRP contract. Despite challenges implementing the forest non-point source permit, we are seeing incremental progress in compliance from the U.S. Forest Service as we continue to discuss implementation streamlining. Last year, the main goal was to get forest activities staff trained on the use of the Cal EnviroScreen tools. We also look forward to the newest version that will include wildfire risk. This additional layer of information will aid the program's focus, since the scale of the Cal EnviroScreen tools is limited in forested areas. SMARTY goals include updates to the program webpage to help the public and new discharges access public permit information, and coordinating with CAL FIRE to update accessible educational materials that guide small landowners needing to conduct fuels management and post-fire salvage work. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Mario.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Mario Jaramillo, and I'm a Water Resource Control Engineer in the Fresno Compliance and Enforcement Unit. I'm going to be talking, all right, next slide, thank you. The Compliance and Enforcement Program protects water quality by holding regulated facilities accountable for following laws, permits, and other regulations. The Compliance and Enforcement Program continued to conduct hundreds of inspections, adopting numerous settlement orders, and promptly addressed a multitude of mandatory minimum penalties. The single most significant development in the Compliance and Enforcement Program is the promotion of Xuan Liu to Program Manager. After amassing years of experience in the permitting and enforcement programs here in the Rancho Cordova office, she began a ground-up reassessment of compliance and enforcement metrics and objectives, something that you will hear more about when we deliver a compliance and enforcement update to the board in October or December. Fiscal year 25-26 produced 2,842 enforcement actions region-wide, including notices of violation, administrative civil liabilities, cleanup and abatement orders, and other enforcement tools. Although high volume alone is not the EG objective, consistent statewide policy application and timely enforcement responses support the measurable components of the SMARTY framework we use to create EJ goals. Next slide, please. Violations of clean water laws disproportionately affect disadvantaged communities, or DACs, and Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, BIPOC communities. Our enforcement efforts can help rectify these inequities. Years ago, the program began to consider the potential impacts to drinking water sources or tribal water uses in its case prioritization and assesses impacts to DACs and communities of colors using tools such as EnviroScreen. It is important to understand that our compliance and enforcement team is sensitive to the environmental impacts that violations may have on communities and situations when the communities themselves are responsible for the violations, such as when wastewater treatment plants in a small community is having compliance problems. When taking enforcement actions involving DACs, alternative compliance approaches such as supplemental environmental projects, compliance projects, and enhanced compliance actions were used to resolve a portion of the penalties. These approaches can result in more meaningful environmental benefits while promoting compliance within the affected communities. Successfully implementing enforcement actions in DACs and BIPOC communities often requires a greater investment of staff time and resources than traditional enforcement cases. Staff spend considerable time providing technical assistance, explaining regulatory obligations, and building trust with regulated communities when those communities lack the resources that their neighbors might have. In addition, developing alternative compliance approaches requires collaboration. Staff often assist with identifying eligible projects, ensuring the proposed projects satisfy policy requirements, evaluating environmental benefits, and coordinating with multiple stakeholders. Nevertheless, this investment of time and resources is worth it and is consistent with the state and regional board's racial equity resolutions. We will continue to take EJ concerns into consideration as we prioritize cases for formal enforcement, especially when DACs and BIPOC communities were affected. We intend to strengthen EJ-centered enforcement through standardized cross-office procedures, improved tracking, and enhanced consistency in applying the enforcement policy. This includes implementing enforcement procedures to improve uniformity across all offices and continuing Cal EnviroScreen informed prioritization of enforcement addressing DAC and BIPOC community impacts. Looking ahead, we will continue to improve outreach, including by updating the webpage, and we will continue to scrutinize our practices and procedures to ensure equitable outcomes in our enforcement efforts. Next slide, please. Now moving on to the site cleanup program. The site cleanup program regulates and oversees the investigation and cleanup of contaminated sites. Sites regulated by this program include large industrial facilities, military bases, oil refineries, factories, and smaller facilities such as dry cleaners and plating shops. Many properties are in urban areas and environmental justice communities. Cleanup often results in contaminated removal, reduced impacts to sources of drinking water, and opportunities for economic growth. Much of this work happens outside of these hearings, but we urge you to always review the executive officer's report to hear about the dozens of cases that are closed under the expert oversight of our site cleanup team. This year, the team has closed 24 sites, moved 11 sites to active remediation, and reviewed nearly 500 site characterization documents. Next slide, please. The program has been carrying forward our SMARTY goals from the original resolution and has been training new staff on their importance and implementation. Their overall goal is meaningful outreach to stakeholders and ensuring staff are trained to use EJ tools available in GeoTracker. A new fiscal year 25-26 SMARTY goal included partnering with Groundwater Quality Protection Program to develop a video for stakeholders on how to use GeoTracker. While there was interest from the internal partners at Division of Water Quality, we saw challenges with resources and budget. Given that GeoTracker is a state board resource, there is a need to coordinate with appropriate contacts, and they have been on board with the proposed video. In the coming year, we will continue to work to create GeoTracker training videos for stakeholders, working with the Division of Water Quality and Groundwater Quality Protection Program. Thank you.
All right, last but not least, the underground storage tank and above ground storage tank program oversees the cleanup of spills and leaks from storage tanks. These tanks have historically released gasoline, diesel, or waste oil. Currently, we are actively managing cleanup efforts at approximately 200 leaking underground tank sites. Since the program's inception, over 3,000 UST releases have been thoroughly investigated, remediated, or closed under our leadership. Last year, we closed 40 sites, achieving 91% of our target, despite facing significant state and federal contracting challenges that were beyond our control. California's single-walled tank rule, which required the permanent closure of all single-walled underground storage tanks, took effect on December 31, 2025. By January 2026, the board announced that 99% of California's 50,000 single-walled tanks had been closed, demonstrating intense statewide mobilization. The program also closed 34 sites this past year. As the cleanup fund eventually sunsets, we will be strategizing about how to best utilize the expertise that this program has developed over decades of implementation. The program's SMARTY goals for fiscal year 25-26 was to conduct an in-depth review of sites and communities with an EnviroScreen score greater than 90%. The program reviewed all cases for closure as part of the annual goals. However, other special projects diverted time and resources away from completing in-depth reviews for this SMARTY goal. In the program fiscal year 26-27 work plan, the goal is to conduct an in-depth review of communities with an EnviroScreen score of greater than 80%. And that concludes the whirlwind tour of the board's 19 water quality programs. I'm certainly available to take any questions that you may have. I do want to extend a great thanks to all the staff and managers that participate on the EJ team. I've been really busy this past year, especially with Adam's departure, and they were able to take a lot of meetings on very limited notice. Meet with the program managers independently to talk about some of these issues, smooth over some of the differences, and it represents a heck of a lot of work being done by people at all levels of the organization to kind of deliver this report today, and really meaningful deliver results in each one of the water quality programs. With that, any questions?
Thank you, Patrick, and thanks to all the staff and for the hard work. That was a lot of detail in a very short period of time, and very much appreciated. A lot of important work going on. Any questions from my colleagues? Denise, I'm not going to forget about you if you have any comments.
No, I just want to acknowledge the work that's been done. I mean, I remember when we were doing these reports some years ago, and the length of time it took to present. At that time, I think it was like 17 programs, so a couple more have been added, but all the work the staff does to protect water quality through the many programs within the region is commendable. All the adjustments that have been made, I'm particularly appreciative of the role that the EJ groups have played in many of the programs to ensure that the disadvantaged communities have a voice, the engagement efforts that are underway, and the prioritization to address many of the programs that have, need the priority, that those adjustments are being made, and just the tremendous amount of work that goes into not just this reporting, but every single day. I just see so much improvement in the work that's been done, and how staff continues to ensure that water quality is the main goal, and I would say the creativity and how they go about addressing many of these programs. I'm just excited about it and appreciate all the hard work that goes into it from each office. The work is it stands out, and great work, and I appreciate the leadership and the work that Patrick and his team does to make sure we address the concerns and protecting water quality. So thank you very much for the great presentations today.
Anyone else? Sean?
Yeah, along that line, those lines, I also want to say thank you to the EJ team, and the presentation is very detailed. A lot of great programs that shows that we collectively is working really hard to improve water quality in our region. Yeah, I wanted to down in the area of us developing the pipeline as far as internship, and apprenticeships that creates that pipeline of opportunity. That's a very important area, and I have seen a few of our internships over the summer as well, and spoke with them. So I'm excited. I just want to say thank you and acknowledge the incredible work from the team and the leadership that Patrick put together. So I appreciate that. With that said, and I also appreciate, the racial equity program that we continuously to improve on different areas in terms of, communications in different languages, and just providing, any incentive to benefit our disadvantaged community as a whole. And, I'm excited and very thankful that we put a lot of work into improving our water quality, our just all the programs that are out there try to help out people as well. So I just want to say thank you very much.
I would like to thank the EJ team for their work maneuvering around the shifting federal WOTUS definitions and the San Francisco versus US EPA receiving water limits rulings. In addition to that, I want to also highlight that there's been many changes to the federal jurisdiction, which resulted in less federal involvement, which has led to a rising workload for all of our teams. And so those are a couple tough ones. And Patrick, I want to thank you and your leadership and your leadership team also for being culturally sensitive towards all your approaches and all your 19 programs. I really see that in the work that's being presented and just through conversations as well. I am proud of that this board is very adaptive. We've seen many changes, and every single time your team comes up with a new process to address external changes, which are out of our control. And you guys didn't even skip a beat with the NPD's permits. And so I look forward to seeing the strides the board will make next year.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Mindy, do we have any requests to speak just generally on the executive officer's report?
No commenters.
No commenters. Okay.
Let me just make one last comment, if you will. I would just like to make extend a thank you to the environmental justice groups. I've often said that they are the voice of the disadvantaged communities, and the fact that they continue to work with our region and the leadership and the staff to be a voice and be a part of being instrumental in helping not only voice the concerns, but actively engage with the board, with the stakeholders. I think it's incredibly important and valuable, the work that they do for the voices that are not heard. They represent those voices, and I really appreciate the work that they do and working with our region, with our staff, with our leadership, like I said, and the stakeholders to address concerns that normally would not be taken into consideration. So a viable role that they play, and the fact that our team works alongside with them to help make sure those voices are integrated into the overall programming is commendable. So I want to thank them and thank you again, Patrick, for the work you and your staff do. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Denise. With that, we will now meet in closed session. Council, do we have, or Patrick, do we need to make any other announcements specific to?
Yes, we need to announce that we will be discussing item N, which is the revised dairy petition order.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll now meet in closed session. All right, having come out of closed session, we will now adjourn the meeting.